Well, this talk stands as a landmark for my research, not only because I'll present the progress of the first year of my work in the TALOS project, but also because it marks the completion of the digitization of the corpus of the 19th century Ionian prose fiction. It's very hard for me to tell which part of the work were completed before TALOS and which continued within it, because the corpus building and the part of the digitization completed during my days in Aristotle University, while some tasks that started then are getting completed and continued in TALOS. This research journey began at the Aristotle University under the supervision of Professor Katerina Tiktopoulou, whose continued support, intellectual and personal, is foundational to this work. Since 24, the project has been transferred to the University of Crete, supervised by Professor Stelios Hadjikyriakidis, and as part of the TALOS project, which has expanded both the research framework and funding opportunities, allowing the work to progress further. The financial support of the research, as well as the contribution of Stelios Hadjikyriakidis and Professor Natsina, head of the Department of the Philosophy, were also keys in accelerating the digitization of the material. We can't talk about accelerating digitization without referring to solid statistics and standards. DICOMO is a model developed within the Miquel de Cervantes Digital Library, built using data from the digitization of over 12K of books over 5 years. It combines algorithmic methods with real production records to estimate the time and cost a project will require. It's a powerful tool that helps institutions and libraries plan ahead, avoid underestimations, and make informed decisions before starting any large-scale work. This DICOMO doesn't just count pages. It factors in the complexity of each digitization project. The core formula is based on page count and a fixed setup time, but what it makes powerful is the effort adjustment factor, the EF. This adjusts the estimation based on real-life challenges, staff expertise, familiarity with the tools, the physical state of the documents, like stains or old papers, language difficulty, quality requirements, and even the technological constraints. For example, according to DICOMO, digitizing 100 clean, modern pages will take around 59 hours. But if the pages are old, stained, or written in foreign or ancient languages, that jumps to almost 98 hours. Well, now let's apply that to our work. My work in TALOS, we have digitized almost 6,694 pages, according to DICOMO. That could take anywhere from 1 year to and 11 months to 3 years and 3 months, depending on the material's complexity. For the complete target corpus, 11,695 pages, we are looking at between 3.5 to 6 years of full-time business day digitization work. These projections highlight just how demanding such a task can be and why it's crucial to plan realistically. Now, let's take a look at what we've actually accomplished during the first year of the project within TALOS and how that compares to the total size of the corpus. Over the past year, I digitized 6,694 pages, covering 42 titles of 19th century Ionian fiction. This represents over half of the corpus, which totals is 11,695 pages across 80 books. The remaining documents had been digitized earlier at the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki. With the digitization phase now complete, I am currently in the phase of OCR post-correction, where I denoise the OCR results for further analysis. Let's take a look at the workflow, including all the corpus development stages from start to finish. This process includes 7 for me distinct phases. It's requiring different skill sets, tools, and levels of manual intervention. Phase 1, let's stay here. Phase 1. The project launched with an exhaustive bibliographic and archival research effort to which Professor Tiktopoulou and Nasos Vagenas contributed significantly. In this phase, I compiled an inventory of over 320 relevant prose works, and that catalog now forms the metadata backbone of the corpus. At this point, though, I would also like to honor the memory of Professor Alexis Politis, who passed away last month. His presence shaped the intellectual life of this university for decades, and his contribution to the study of modern Greek literature was truly pioneering. He was among the first scholars to highlight the importance of Ionian prose, engaging in a critical dialogue that my own research now builds upon. He also played leading role in the foundation of ANEMI, digital library, which had a direct impact on this project, as many of the scans I worked with were assessed through that very infrastructure. Since this presentation is held at this university, I'd like to express my sincere condolences. So next phase aimed to define clear and reproducible corpus building criteria, again in close collaboration with Professor Tiktopoulou. So the corpus building criteria aim to ensure scientific coherence, analytical consistency, and their representativeness, which are essential for meaningful literary analysis. First, we focused on authors with the Ionian origins, regardless of where their work was published or where they spent most of their lives. These allow us to track cultural and diasporic dynamics. In terms of language, only Greek language works were included. Although Italian was frequently used, those texts pose different analytical and bibliographical requirements. The chronological frame now spans from 18 to 1922. The lower limit is marked by the establishment of the Septinsular Republic, which signals the beginning of a distinct political and cultural phase in the Ionian Islands. We intentionally chose not to end the frame at the 1864, the year of the union with Greece. Instead, we extended it until 1922 because 1922 marks a broader shift in Greek national identity, which redefined what was considered central or peripheral. As for the genre, the corpus is focused on original prose fiction, such as novels, novellas, and short stories. We excluded by autobiographies, translations, and multi-author anthologies, which for the moment pose issues in analytical consistency and methodology. Lastly, we only included standalone printed books and not serialized or periodical publications, so that we could ensure bibliographic clarity. In phase three involved locating the documents that correspond to the first publication for its title. This meant conducting over 24 public libraries and academic repositories in Greece and abroad, but sometimes have different infrastructure and policies. Connecting and scanning resources was unpredictably long process. Once the texts were located, phase 4 focused on image processing, and this is a phase I would like to emphasize. Scans had to be cleaned, skewed, and enhanced to prepare them for OCR. Unfortunately, most of the scans did not follow digitization standards, so in these cases, I had to manually correct nearly every page in order to enhance OCR accuracy. In some cases, I was able to create image correction routines for entire books. In others, I had to apply manual adjustment page by page. It's difficult to give an exact number, but based on a quick estimate, I would say that I processed images for approximately 50 to 60 books. Now you might be wondering why not use an AI assistant for processing images. Let me show you a sample page. On the left is the original scan, in the center is the AI-generated correction, and on the right, my manual correction. the issue here isn't the focus, which wasn't addressed by the assistant anyway, but rather the gamma correction and adjustment to contrast, sharpness, and exposure. And since pages from the same book often come from different scans, manual correction proved to be most reliable option. I honestly couldn't choose one worst case in image processing, but I'll briefly mention the most time-consuming example. In this case, the same book had been digitized in 2 different repositories. Scan B looks brighter, cleaner, and better positioned on the scanner, but was likely processed with preset enhancement settings, probably they used preset settings for scanning. As a result, fine character details are lost and some later appear faded or incomplete. When I compared the OCR results from both scans, as you can see on here, neither version was good enough for computational analysis, but that's something that human eye can't reliably judge. So I developed a scoring system assigning 1 or 0 to each OCR line and summing the results to compare output quality. Finally, scan A was submitted to manual enhancement process, and using the same evaluation method with 1 and 0, the new processed images shown on the right achieved the best OCR results. For the record, this case was a novel by Xenopoulos of 124 pages. The entire digitization process took 5 working days. The final result, as you can see here, was very satisfying. Here, you can see the result. According to DICOMO, the estimated digitization time for the same document was 16 working days. So the manual image processing not only improved OCR quality, it was also time-saving. Some challenges were not related to scanning quality, but to the physical conditions of the material. Pages were often curved, faded, thin, damaged, or even missing. Another frequent issue was scanning errors at the process level. Pages were accidentally scanned twice, 3 times, or skipped entirely. So a page-by-page check was essential to ensure the integrity of each document and the corpus reliability. After dealing with these material and scanning challenges, the next step was the OCR itself. Before processing with full digitization, I first digitized a small sample of each document to assess whether it requires image correction that could improve OCR results. Based on the evaluation, I either processed directly or applied enhancements. The enhanced images were processed using the model I trained on Transcribus platform, 19th century Greek, which is optimized for 19th century Greek prints. And I'm now deep into the final phase of corpus building, the post-OCR editing, where I correct errors and normalize the output. This phase begins with primary structural check to ensure that the digitization process was completed properly. Then I manually check the transcription of 3 random pages per document to identify OCR errors and recurring error patterns. For example, in a document with a particularly distinct font of OCR, the OCR system failed to correctly capture the characters lambda, theta, and vita. In such cases, I focus editing only those characters, making the process faster and more targeting. So far, I've processed approximately 6,400 pages. My goal is to fully clean and finalize the digitized corpus by the end of the summer, while also producing subcorpora based on content and paratextual features. Once the corpus is complete, it will be submitted for computational analysis. These processes form a separate pipeline with its own methodology and tools, which, as I present in the second PhD meeting, I have already started to develop. Here are some early insights from the corpus, starting with the geographical distribution of publication locations. Even though Athens appears as main publishing hub, the Ionian Islands also have a strong presence with 41 publications, particularly from Zakynthos and Corfu. Interestingly, we also see isolated publications from cities like Odessa, Istanbul, and Turin, and even one case with a known location, which likely points to Athens based on the publisher's name. This diversity reflects the mobility and diasporic identity of Ionian authors and hints at the translational circulation of their works, which, according to the broader inventory of the 19th century Ionian fiction, often extending to Italy, Malta, and even Alexandria. This timeline is an overview of the publications included in the corpus. The faded pink dots are Greek novels that have been excluded only because they exceeded the time frame. As you can see, Grigoris Xenopoulos and Socrates Zervos are by far most prolific, contributing 23 and 10 works respectively. Most other authors are represented by one or two works, which reflects the fragmented nature of prose production in 19th Ionian context. Also worth noting is the presence of two female authors, each represented by one work, Elas Regini Valsamaki and Velianitou Amalia, both published in the same year, 1880. This is evidence of rare but significant female literary voices during the period. Beyond digitization, I developed a range of tools to support corpus construction and analysis. First, I trained the custom OCR model, 19th century Greek 8 is the 8th version, on the Transcribus platform using Pilea. It's specifically tuned to 19th century polytonic Greek and achieves high character level accuracy. Then I built Python scripts to post-process OCR output, removing headers, fixing line breaks, and standardizing structure across text. For name entity recognition, I trained a fine-tuned BERT model to extract spatial entities and implemented a spacey pipeline with rule-based pattern for location tagging. I'm currently working on optimizing NER results, enriching spatial entities with person names. And moreover, I also study on normalization of the entity recognition results that will allow me to link together the different tokens of the same entities. These technical developments have already resulted into concrete dissemination outputs. I co-authored a paper with Professor Tiktopoulou entitled Creating a Literary Digital Corpus from Scratch, which presents both the corpus building methodology and the research potential. I will also present at the 17th International Conference on Greek Linguistics in Cambridge later this year, focusing on the OCR model I trained on Transcribus and its application to historical Greek texts. To wrap up, here's what's come next. My immediate priority is to finalize OCR post-editing and structure the corpus into meaningful subcorpora, distinguishing actual content from paratextual elements such as prologues, editorial notes, and colophons. On the technical side, I'll continue refining NER and normalization and expanding the infrastructure to include geospatial tagging combined with targeted sentiment analysis applied specifically to locations referring the Ionian Islands, Athens, and broader European settings such as Italy. Moving forward, the research will also incorporate topic modeling and computational stylistic comparison using clustering techniques. And these plans and achievements bring me to the end of my first year's here progress presentation. Thank you for your attention. I'll be happy to answer any question.